Well, hello, Brian. How are you, Special K?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Well, I love your
Awesome.
beautiful backdrop there. Welcome to
Yeah.
Live Design's roundtable discussion.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
talking about how to make changes stick. So I
Yes.
think most of us have embarked on changes, sometimes voluntarily, sometimes involuntarily.
Okay.
We have Jonathan joining us. Hey,
So
how are you,
Hey,
Jonathan?
namaskaram, everyone. So
You
far,
got
so
dressed
great.
up. You got dressed up for us today.
Yes, especially
nice. Nice. Looking fancy.
this is
Yes.
this is work uniform.
Oh, I see. Well, very good.
Nice.
Nice to
Nice,
see you.
man.
We just got
Nice.
started. We were just saying, Jonathan, that this discussion today for the roundtable is on making changes stick. And then I wanted to congratulate Brian on his new location in Da Nang, Vietnam.
Yep. It's pretty nice. I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
I know he
Yeah.
sent me a picture of a 500, like half of a million
Yes.
Hong Kong or whatever the name of the
Dong.
Dongs.
coin
Dongs.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I'm like, you're already a millionaire over there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Well,
It's
so
pretty cool.
tell us where you are. It looks like you're outside in a cafe too, Jonathan, in California.
Yes, I had to come to a different spot. So
Mm-hmm.
the Wi-Fi at my
Mm-hmm.
home is
Mm-hmm.
not working, which hasn't been working properly actually. That's why I'm moving out because I cannot live in a first world country and
Yeah.
not have Wi-Fi. Uh,
Yes.
so, anyways, I'm here. It's a Starbucks in California, so it
Oh,
works
very
out
good.
perfectly. Uh,
Well, a lot of good things about the Starbucks, including their Wi-Fi. So,
Well, actually, it's funny thing. I don't even have to use Wi-Fi. I'm using my own cellular data, but
yeah,
here
Yeah.
the signal where I live it kind of sucks. But yeah,
yeah.
Oh.
Well, thank you for making the trek out early in the morning. Welcome,
yes.
Zian. How are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to deal with the heat, and I decided to take a break from my weekly adventure because I don't really
Bye.
want to deal with the heat.
Yeah, no, I think you're taking good care of yourself. Good for you.
Good.
You need to
My
do
best.
a starlight walk instead of a sunshine walk when it cools.
Uh, that's a good idea.
Well, welcome to the roundtable. As I was reminding Jonathan today, we're talking about making changes that stick. And this is Brian's first roundtable from beautiful Da Nang, Vietnam.
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
okay, I have slides. I confess I finished them 5 minutes before we started, but I have some slides. So let's run through those and kind of set the table for our discussion.
And
And
just so everyone knows, we're already recording.
yes, we're recording. Yes. Oh, yes. So mind your manners.
Yeah.
No. This will last through posterity, assuming the computer doesn't eat it like last week. So, making that assumption. So, okay, let's see what I can do. I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to go here and pick this presentation. Okay, can you guys see this?
No.
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 Okay.
I see you right now.
Okay, well, let's see. Let me go back to Zoom and share. And there we go, screen. Yeah, it's giving me like 5 choices I've never seen before.
All right. While you work on that, oh, you did a dark background. I'll show
Yo,
you guys
Brian,
this. Oh, what's up,
Brian, your voice all raspy. Have you been screaming your lungs out, man?
dude? So normally my voice is like 30% of a normal voice. Right now it's like 5%. Ever since I've been here, my voice has been like, so I don't know. I've had a lot of mucus. Maybe I'm adjusting. maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, my voice is super weak right now. So you guys
Yeah,
want
it's
to see
probably
this? You want to see this outdoor cafe in
Yeah,
Vietnam?
yeah, of
All right,
course.
all
That
right.
looks like a different kind of cafe.
speaking of cafes.
Yeah, since he's in front of one right now.
No shit, that looks great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
There's a ton of cafes here. This is one of the ones that's open late. Most places close at 10 p.m. and it's 10:15 right now. But this place is open late. All right, cool.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Yeah, now we can see it. Yeah,
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, Brian, it's almost hard to tell which tropical locale you're at because I see beautiful
yeah,
trees and then there's behind you and lovely lights.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
10:30 at night or 10:20 at night for you there, right? So, okay, let's do this for 2 minutes now that Myrna has figured it out.
Okay.
Okay, making changes stick. Oh, Brian's made a change.
I took a picture of the local beach. I didn't get myself in the picture. I just snapped a few photos, but so you guys can see that.
Well,
Da Nang Beach.
yeah, you know, something tells me those palm trees have seen a lot of wind.
Yeah.
Hey, it's never too early to be flexing on the beaches that you are currently at.
There we go. Okay. So here's our little table setting for our discussion. I know we shared some links and things in our invitation earlier in the week. So to make changes that stick, there's a concept called habit stacking.
Okay.
There was a book by that name. And so here's a PhD telling us that habit stacking is really effective strategy for building new habits because it builds off existing neural networks in our brains. Um, so when you identify a daily action or habit you already engage in, so you sort of have that groove already dug in your brain, you can add a new habit before or after the existing habit. So you link them together. Rather than strengthening an entirely new neural network, you're capitalizing on the structure and the cycle that already exists in your brain. So that's one way to set yourself up. And I found this little picture. If someone was trying to add daily prayer, this says first Jesus, then coffee. So while the coffee's brewing, get your prayers in. That's a habit stack. So here's our next one. Okay, another article from the American Psychological Association. I'm thinking of you, Z, in one of our reading this stuff. Okay, so small wins. So if you set yourself a big goal, it's good to break it into smaller chunks because you have an opportunity to have the experience of success, and that motivates you to continue. So here they suggested after you identified realistic short-term and long-term goals, break them into smaller, more manageable goals. And an example is if you want to lose 20 pounds, maybe a pound a week is a plan. Also, if you'd like to eat healthier, maybe replacing dessert with an option like fruit or yogurt. And so at the end of the week, you feel successful knowing you've met your goal. Part of setting yourself up for success is, especially in the early part of a new habit that you're developing, is to make the winning easier because you keep going. And then as you escalate the difficulty, you're ready to handle the next, rather than have it be hard from the get-go. And then there's a very famous book about connecting to your why. And so this recommendation from Greenville Counseling Group says, as you're setting the habits that you want to change or goals, to reflect first on why you want those changes in the first place, because you're restructuring your behavior and you want to set yourself up for success. One of the things to do there, once you've identified why you want to pull these things off, is to change your surroundings. So if you have a hard time remembering taking your vitamins, leave them on the counter next to the coffee. You can lay out your running outfit, your shoes before you go to sleep. So when you get up in the morning, you're not looking for them. You just step into them and go. You could put your Bible or your journal on the kitchen table before bed, so it's waiting for you in the morning. Connect to your why. Why am I making these changes? And then set yourself up for success, including even, where you put things in the house. And as you make your coffee or make your bed or get up in the morning or go to bed at night, the journal's right there to write down your 5 gratitudes. So whatever that looks like for you. Okay, here's our meme. Me in the womb wasting time instead of saving money and buying land.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we can have too much pressure about what we have to get done. Thanks for hanging in there for the slides.
Of course.
Yeah, don't give yourself too much pressure. So, okay, Brian, you have some thoughts, I think.
Sure. So I think you made some good points there. I personally think the way I look at it, if you want to make lasting changes, your feeling has to change. Like your emotion, your feeling about something has to change. I talk about this a lot in manifestation as well. But if you look at an example of like people quitting smoking or drinking cold turkey, how do they do that? If you really think about this, what happens is your feeling about it has to really, really change. So, for example, if you love to drink and your feeling about drinking is like, oh, it's just so much fun, hang out with my friends, hang out with girls, we all drink, we have a great time. If that's your feeling about it, you're just going to keep doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes someone gets drunk, they kill someone in a car wreck or something, and then they feel like so much remorse, so much regret. The feeling about drinking totally changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they feel like I'm never going to do this again. I can't do this. I can't handle this. It's not for me. I'm just done. And when your feeling really changes, you will change.
Mm-hmm.
You will make changes and they will be lasting
Mm-hmm.
when your feeling about it really changes. But if you still hang on to that old feeling, like, no, drinking's still really fun, I like to go out, you're going to keep going back and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because emotions dictate behavior to a large extent.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I would say that's one key, is like, you really have to get your feeling about it to change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you want to meditate more, if you feel like meditation is really boring and it doesn't do shit, well, you're not going to stick to it, are you? Like, that feeling has to change.
Yeah.
The feeling has to change to like, wait a minute, something big is happening here. This is actually like meaningful. This is like, I'm changing. Something's changing.
Mm-hmm.
When your feeling changes to that, you'll keep doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think when your feeling changes, that's when you make changes. They say this in manifestation circles too, like the feeling is the secret. If you want to change your life, you got to change your feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really going to drive it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that. Something else I would mention too is, you've really made a lasting change, or you've really turned a corner, like you really know something new when your behavior changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we talk about this with apologies too, as well, right? Like, if someone says they're sorry, but they go and do the same shit over again, over and over and over, then they're not really sorry. They don't really care, and they didn't learn anything. You know that someone is making a lasting change when they actually act differently, when their behavior changes. Like, you got to see behavioral changes.
Mhm.
That's when you know yourself or someone else is making a lasting change. That's when you know they've actually turned a corner,
Mhm.
right? Like I've seen people say something like, "Oh, I know, I know, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to do that," but they do it again and again and again. So it's like, okay, you don't know that then.
Mhm.
You think you know, but you actually don't know. Because if you knew, you would be acting differently now.
Mhm.
Like if you get better at chess, you actually make different moves. If you're still making the same moves, you didn't get better, right?
Mhm.
Like so. Anyways,
They have an old joke when someone says they have 10 years of experience, and the joke is, do you have 1 year of experience you've repeated 10 times, or have you actually changed over the 10 years? Like,
that's a
it's none of
perfect
those things, is it? So
perfect way to
the
say it. Yep.
passage of time is not necessarily a marker that you've improved. So, hey, Jonathan, why don't you jump in here? Because I know people come to you and they say, I want to change the way I approach relationships. I want to change the kind of women I'm dating. I want to be more successful. And so you work with them on change. Do you have any thoughts about how to make the changes stick? I think connecting to a why does help. You know, it feels bad that this is happening. I want to feel differently. Or I've never felt true romantic love, and I want that for myself. I want to go get that. So that's my why. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, so there are different tools that alchemical hypnotherapists have access to that without the right why, they're completely useless.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, for example, there's something called an anchor,
Mm-hmm.
which means that is extremely popular for people that want to stop or quit smoking or doing some other kind of habit.
Yep.
So let's say, for example, they come to me and they say, "Oh, I want to stop smoking," and then I ask them, "Well, why? Don't you like enjoy like tobacco?" They're like, "No, yeah, I love it." Then I'm like, "Oh, then why do you want to stop smoking? Is there like a deeper, like, is there like a health concern? Like, is the health concern bigger than you wanting to look gangster with your cigar? Like, what is like, um, so when the why, like their deep reason is not strong enough, I just told them like, I not even God can help you because you need to have a strong reason why. Now, if your why is strong enough, then by any means, there's a lot of help. Because, for example, somebody wants to quit smoking because they have like a lung cancer, and that's going to allow them to live 5 years extra. Like
Mhm, mhm,
then we can do, I can do, for example, there's something called like anchors, which every time they touch the cigar or cigarette, it's
mhm,
going to remind them of some like is something nasty. It's going to make them want to like almost throw up to the
mhm,
point that it's going to become
mhm,
like they don't want. That's the last thing they want to touch. It's a cigarette.
mhm,
But that's because their why it's extremely strong.
mhm,
If there is not a deep, meaningful reason behind it,
mhm,
it's well, personally, I don't like to work with those humans because they don't really want to make the change. They just
mhm,
want to feel like they want to say, "Oh, I tried. It didn't work out. I tried my best." No,
mhm,
you didn't actually
mhm.
try your best.
Hmm.
uh, and it's not yes.
Mhm,
Um, but there's many tools that hypnotherapists can use to help them on their journey to make small changes because, like you were saying,
mhm,
every small change
mhm,
counts.
mhm,
So even the environmental change,
mhm,
it has like, I mean, just talking about right now, the background on Brian is the coconuts and a beach. It's way
mhm.
better. It's way better. Whoever doesn't admit that a coconut tree and a beach is a better background than a wall and a window will be lying to themselves. Okay. uh, so everything has an impact. So it's yeah.
I really appreciate that. You know,
Yeah.
Jonathan, with coaches, they have jokes about you signed up for the gym and you wrote the check, but you
Mm,
didn't go. and it's the gym that didn't work. No, you didn't put in the work. You actually have to go to the gym and do the lifting and learn about what you want to do to reshape your body or regain your health or your stamina. So the component of what you bring to this effort of making a change stick, that's kind of an inside job. Zian, I want to invite you in, and I have a question for you. I know you have some thoughts already too, but my question is, Brian was talking about watching other people make changes and kind of what are the indicators that that change is going to be lasting or they're not serious about it. You know, they're doing the talk, but they're not doing the behavior change. And so you can't really change anybody else, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, you might believe you can, but you're going to end up you're going to end up feeling really frustrated and disgusted with your own self, and you're going to build up resentment and bitterness investing time in trying to control and change others. And eventually it'll get to a point where you have a really sharp awareness of that, and so sharp that you have an aversion to trying to change or control people, and you stray away from that altogether. You don't even touch that. You don't go anywhere near with it, or anywhere near it, not even with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, you can speak your mind, you can let people know how you feel, but changing them, trying to control them, it's futile in the end. It's not going to be a permanent thing. It just feels good in the moment because it produces a rush of dopamine, serotonin, other neurotransmitters, and the sense of euphoria that you might get from trying to control or change this person also plays a role. That sense of euphoria creates this delusion of power. And it's a chemical high. That's what it is. It's brain chemistry producing a high from your own level of ignorance and how you're perceiving this. But I like what Brian said about your attitude changing. Your attitude has to almost radically change about how you're looking at the habit. Like, for instance, when I stopped smoking weed a few years ago, I was just I wanted to feel something different. I was tired of having to spend money all the time and be dependent on this and wasting money on this. So that was a huge factor, and I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to see what it would do for me, and it did way more than I ever could have imagined. Like, I'm not suppressing emotions anymore that comes from smoking weed. I've said this to you on a number of occasions, but when you smoke weed, it suppresses energy that your body naturally needs to process. You're on a daily basis throughout every second of the day, your body is processing sensory emotional input that you need to be able to feel. And when you smoke weed for a number of years or even just a day, it suppresses what you need to process, and it depresses the mechanisms that allow you to feel. So then when you stop smoking, or you wake up the next day and you're not high anymore, then your nervous system is backlogged, and now you've got to process a bunch of information that you would have been able to process otherwise. So I stopped doing that, and that was just over months and years since then. Like, it's not like my clarity came within a day or a week. It just you start feeling things, and things aren't numb anymore inside of you on a visceral level. So then you start rearranging themselves within your body at a cellular level. So your cells hold emotions and energy. All that comes out, you're not suppressing it anymore. You can actually feel yourself to a greater degree. You can feel pleasure to a higher extent. And so your attitude about what you're trying to change, what you're trying to alter within your routine, it has to change. You have to have some, like, you have to know why you're trying to change, and that's another important part. It's the why. The why and the attitude is what is going to propel you into a new space of energy. The why has to be pretty fucking strong. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, you're just going to keep doing what you're doing. Whether it could be whatever the dysfunction is, whether it's heroin, just OxyContin, or other bad habits that don't involve drug use. Mm-hmm. The why to stop, to change, it has to be fairly damn strong. And also, I don't want to drone on for too long and take up too much time, but let me say this. God, what was I going to say? There is a certain level of intelligence behind the dysfunction that you're trying to alter. So take it easy on yourself and allow yourself some leeway. Let yourself slide back into that dysfunction and don't try to make the changes stick so suddenly. Like, it's got to be gradual, because you can't force it, but at the same time, you do have to force yourself to maintain these routines that are going to allow you to make change stick. Mm-hmm. So let the change be gradual. Don't try to make it happen all at once, and let yourself slide back into that dysfunction or the habit that you don't want to be embodying anymore. And get curious about why the dysfunction is there in the first place, because, as I said, there's an intelligence behind that habit. There's something that your body needs that you're getting out of that from that dysfunction. So gradual, not suddenly, and just be aware. Don't judge yourself too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate that. I want to do a little roundtable here about either a change a client has gone through, or that you specifically have gone through yourself. And I know in coaching, people navigate change differently. Some people, cold turkey is what works. They can't take small bites, then they eat the whole cake. Like, the cake can't be in the house. So Tim Ferriss talks about this, that when he was cleaning up his diet, and he wrote the 4-Hour Chef, and he said he learned he can't have cookies in the building. Guys can't have them there. He has a cheat day. He goes out in the world and consumes cookies and leaves the rest where he found them and comes back home where there are no cookies. That's how he needs to do it. Other people can say no to a cookie. I had one, that's my limit, I'm fine. So you have to kind of learn for yourself what that looks like. But I appreciate that we all have seen the power of the why, like, why am I making this change? My song for the week, which I found 3 minutes before we went live, thank you, is a Fleetwood Mac song called Never Going Back. I'm never going back. And in the refrain, it says, I failed one time, I failed 2 times, now I'm never going back again. Like, it took a couple of, trying and faltering, and then I'm now at the place where I'm never going back. And so as we talk with people who are trying to make changes now, one of the ways we can help them is, have you made a big change in the past? And how did that work for you? What was it? Was it a situation in the law that says you don't get to drive for 6 months? Was it a boyfriend who left you and you had to learn how to be by yourself? And that change you wouldn't have done willingly, but your involuntary change led to learning how to be by yourself and being contented in the life you've built for yourself, not requiring another person to make you happy, or whatever it looks like. So Brian, you have some thoughts. Share those.
Yeah. I like what you're saying, and I want to touch on what some of our other coaches were saying too. So one thing is, sometimes I think you have to give yourself permission to change your personality, or to be a new person. Sometimes that's what it takes to make a big change. I feel like some people get stuck in certain ways because they just feel like, well, this is who I am. This is how everyone else sees me. My family sees me this way. They all talk about me this way. My girlfriend sees me this way. My friends see me this way. Dude, I'm going to fucking be who I want to be. That's me. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you just got to tell everyone, nope, that's not who I am anymore. Deal with it. Like, you're either sticking with me or you're gone. Make your choice. Because I'm going to be a new person now. Because that's what I want to do. And you have to, like, give yourself permission to do that and just be cool with that. Sometimes that's what it takes to make a lasting change.
That's a good point, that a change you make could be disruptive to other people in your life.
Yes.
And so they may sign off on that, or they may not co-sign that change.
And you got to be all right with that. Like, okay, we don't talk anymore. Take care, you know? Like, I'm doing my thing. This is where I'm going. So you go where you go, you know? So luck with everything. Like, sometimes that's what it takes. Also, I would say sometimes to make a lasting change, like Jonathan mentioned, you got to change your environment. Like, if you're trying to quit drinking and you think you can still go out with your friends that drink every fucking night, it is going to be 10 times harder to quit drinking if you keep going out with them. Every time they get a drink, you're going to have to activate your willpower and say, no, 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 no. It's going to be, you know what? It's going to be 100 times harder. Whereas if you just weren't out with them, if you were just sitting at home, there's no alcohol in the house, it's 100 times easier. So sometimes you really got to change your environment to make a change. Like, it's like really, really key. It takes so much more willpower to make a lasting change when you're in a toxic environment than when you're in a positive environment. If you just go start hanging out with people who don't drink, it'll just become effortless for you to not drink. They don't even think about it. They don't even mention it. Nobody brings it up. Nobody's like, hey, let's do shots. You're not even dealing with that. They don't even think like that. So changing your environment can be huge. And this is one thing that I want ALD to be. I want it to be a online positive environment for everybody to kind of hang out in, watch videos, reach out to coaches, reach out to mentors. So you can start at least having an online environment that's positive for you, that encourages you to go in the right directions. So you at least have something like that. Instead of just always being around negative stuff. A lot of people are kind of around negative people a lot of the time. I feel like a lot of people are stuck in that. So,
great. Well, if you meet your drinking friends at Starbucks with Jonathan, then the only shots you're doing are espresso shots.
Yeah, espresso shots are okay.
I got three, actually. I got 3 shots of espresso.
Nice. Going hard, dude. Going hard.
Okay, so we won't discuss your caffeine addiction, Jonathan.
Hey, I've been there. It's all good.
Do you want to talk about clients you've helped make changes, or you yourself, where you this time it worked? Or please go ahead.
So something that it came to my mind was, in my experience working with all kinds of humans from different backgrounds, so regardless of the background, something that I noticed is that I will have first kind of like an interview with them if they decide to go through like a huge change, because I've noticed that huge or like big changes, they can be quite dramatic, actually. Let me give you an example, because sometimes even if they are for good, they can still be dramatic. So let's say somebody is at war and they are perfectly fine doing their thing, no problem. And then all of a sudden they have this dramatic change where they find themselves living peacefully among other humans. There's no bombing involved. There's no starvation. There's like everything is perfect. And that change, even though it was for good, it was so dramatic that most people, they cannot cope with it because it's so fast. So all the things that have to be processed, they have no time to process.
Mhm.
So whenever someone wants to make like a huge, let's say somebody is like 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 600 pounds,
Mhm.
and they want to go down to like a 150, 160, 112.
Mhm.
That can be quite a dramatic change because it involves everything in your life, like from the stuff that you put in your mouth, like food, the way you think about food. So that's like the physical, the non-physical involved, the emotions that you have for certain foods. So it's a dramatic change, which is why most times it doesn't like last.
Mhm.
Because it's a lot of things involved. So something that I will always recommend, for example, this is a small change, but I will say if you're, I don't even remember when I learned this from the first time because then I heard it many times after, but it works. One small change, let's say, just so that I can see if they can actually have the capacity to do something continuously. Let's say they are right-handed, and then I'm like, okay, you're right-handed. Let's start next week. Do the toothbrush, like brush your teeth with the left hand.
Mhm.
If they cannot even do 1 week and they forgot to use the left one and they use the right one, I'm like, why? In my personal experience, I'm like, you're not ready for a big change because I'm going to fuck you up if I make all these changes and then you cannot, even though I can, I won't because it's not going to help you. Even though you may think it will help you magically, but you're not ready. So I will always start with small changes.
Mhm.
And that depends on the person because some humans are more they have more capacity, like brain capacity and emotional capacity. So with them, you can do miracles like
Mhm.
within
Mhm.
3 days.
Mhm.
But some others, it takes more time. So there's no shaming involved. It's
Mhm.
just acknowledging what's your emotional and physical capacity to manage changes.
Mhm.
Um, but small changes are great. I don't like to make them habits because when everybody knows that when it becomes a habit, you don't have to think.
It's
So
unconscious.
whenever it's
Mhm.
unconscious, so I'm against unconsciousness. Uh,
You're taking a stand against unconsciousness.
yeah, some people say I make this new habit. I'm like, no. If you really pay attention, that means for that period of time, you just didn't have to think, which is not good for anyone.
Mhm.
Um, it might sound like a great idea, but trust me, it's not true.
Well, one of the things we think about is to skip the part where you condemn yourself for the change you want to be making. Like, I don't want to be 400 pounds anymore, or I don't want to date guys that treat me bad anymore, or I don't want to take a load of garbage from my boss anymore. Whatever the change is, condemning yourself that you're in the circumstance that you want to change is not helpful. You're creating a new barrier to making the change. But the way to consider that is, how was this serving me? Let's take the example of you're in a job that you've outgrown and you have a new boss who's giving you a hard time. And then you ask yourself, why am I still in this job? I can't get promoted. My boss is favoring other people. And so I think I'm in a dead end here. But it has been a good job for me. It has paid my bills. I'm good at what I do. I find satisfaction in doing it. But moving forward, it's no longer serving me. So that's a way to kind of explain when people say, well, why did you stop smoking weed? Or why did you stop going out with your friends drinking? Or why did you do? And you might say, I'm going to spend my money differently. I'm going to save money and buy a house. So I
Yeah,
don't
not
have
to
money for weed now. Go ahead.
interrupt you, but you just reminded me of something when it came to, because you mentioned relationships, and even applies the changes to relationships. Let's say somebody is used to dating uh, crappy humans,
Mhm.
or like they want to go from a 4 to a 9. I'm
They've
like,
been settling.
I-
They think they
I'm
have
like,
to settle.
you cannot just go from. I mean, you can, but are you able to handle all the changes that comes from dating a 4 to dating a 9 or a 10? Like, more likely, you're not going to be able to handle it. So let's go from a 4 to a 6. That's great. But it changes, and then from there you can keep going. But even in relationships, and same for women, like you cannot just go from this to like it's because it just messes you up more actually. So I would say petite changes are right.
Well, our lives are so integrated. We have our friend group and we have our family and we have our work environment, we have whatever money we're earning, and our self-identity is tied up with all of that. And so we talked about navigating change before. You can't pull out all the Jenga blocks at one time without a total collapse. So if you're carefully pulling out one or two at a time and making those changes, they can build upon each other. But yeah, Zian, do you want to say anything about specific changes you've seen other than your story about that you've decided to stop smoking weed and the change that's happened for you? It made me think of when people talk about day drinking and how fun that is, because it's sort of outside of the rules, right? And then when you date someone and you answer the question for yourself, does this person drink every day? Like they drink every day. Do they smoke weed every day? Because that's a different circumstance than it's Saturday. I had some friends over. We had some beers. I drank on Saturday, or I smoked on Saturday. If it's the occasional thing, that's a different way of living than if it's every day. And so every day is probably serving them. But as you mentioned, Zian, it's probably serving them by dialing down their ability to heal, their ability to confront. They're not coping with something, and so they're numbing themselves if it's every day. And so if you take that away and they're not numb anymore, oh my Lord, now they have to deal with the bad boss or the angry girlfriend or the fact they don't make as much money as they want, or they turn 40 and life has not turned out the way they thought it was going to turn out when they were 25, and they don't really want to look at that. So even positive changes can have difficult consequences because that thing was serving you somehow and it no longer is. So Zian, some thoughts?
Yeah. First off, I just want to say I like daytime drinking, but I am very, very responsible about it. I don't rarely, if ever, do I go overboard. Like I check in with myself. I have the capacity to check in with myself. So like I have a glass or a shot of vodka or gin. Those are my two favorites, vodka and gin. And I'll I have that glass, that shot or whatever. And if I want another one, then I'll say, okay, wait. So is this next glass? Is this next shot? Is it going to take me to the over the edge? Is it going to make me sick? Am I going to start puking? Am I going to wake up with a hangover and all that? And I'm like, I just kind of feel myself and where I'm at. I'm like, no, I'm good. I can have another one. Or no, just take it easy. Like wait a few hours if you want another drink. Sometimes, and this might sound a little dysfunctional, sometimes I like a shot of gin or vodka in the morning, just a shot. And I don't go over. I do not go over that because that's a bad way to get started with your morning. Like any more than a shot or like a small glass. Nah, I'm not doing all that. But a shot or so, that'll wear off in an hour. And it kind of gets me, it kind of gets me, in my creative groove. Like I feel like it just kind of like gets me a little focused to have that glass or that shot. Alcohol for me, it's an experience, and I don't just do it because it feels good. It's a total experience for me, and it allows me to kind of get into a flow with my mental and emotional state. Alcohol for me doesn't numb me. It kind of brings things into focus. But that's just my experience of it, and that's not what it does for everybody else. But weed has the opposite effect on me. Weed kind of brings everything out of focus, and it numbs me, and it just dissolves my it at a certain level, it dissolves my coherence within reality. So those two things are completely different experiences for me. But like it's about the way that you're doing it and the way that you're pursuing it. Like I said, for me, I can have a shot and not have any more than that in the morning. But if you're doing more than a shot in the morning and then you keep on drinking throughout the day, That's not cool, because I won't drink throughout the day. It's just like a shot or a glass and I'm done. Or it depends on what, maybe I will drink throughout the day, but that's not every day. That'll be like a weekend. And I pace myself. It's not, my bottle of alcohol, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to sprout legs and walk the fuck off. So there's no rush. I'm enjoying it. I'm taking my time, but so it's about the way that you're doing it and the approach that you come at with it. But what was it? What was the question was, my personal changes. For me, getting organized and being more disciplined, that's been a real journey. Because I have been getting, I've had a habit of getting distracted really easily over the past few years. And I talked about this with you, but or maybe on the last roundtable, but I acknowledged that the pain I was in from my restricted fascia and the muscle tightness, that's part of what was causing me to get distracted so easily. And when you're in pain all the time, it's hard to focus, and it drains your energy, because the awareness of being in pain, you put that into the painful sensations, and it drains your energy to a certain extent. So I've noticed that I'm not as distracted as easily when I maintain certain habits. And so that's been a tough one for me, just not getting distracted. And that it's not just pain that plays a role in getting distracted. It could be the unconscious emotional background noise of unhealed wounds and trauma. That could result from parasites, and we all have parasites. So there's a number of factors that play a role in why it's so easy for me to get distracted. But lately I've been noticing that when I put my mind into it and I'm calm and I make an effort to be calm with my energy, it's much easier for me to focus, because and I've also noticed that when I'm calm, the tightness in my muscles, it kind of loosens up. And that's part of my healing process with my muscle tightness and my restricted fascia. The more calm I am, the easier it makes my day. But if I'm trying to get through everything in a rush, and I'm manic, then it just, everything up here hurts. It's all tight, and it just it's much easier to get distracted. So being calm, doing a lot of what I do with mindfulness, and just taking certain intervals in the day to get up and stretch, walk for 5 or 10 minutes, maybe just chill out for 30 minutes or whatever it is, and then get back to it, and be deliberate in the time that I spend relaxing, walking, stretching. Don't just do it and let your head wander. I mean, I guess you can, but it's less effective when you allow your thoughts to wander, and you maintain a certain focus as to what you're doing. And I've also noticed that I don't integrate enough. I don't spend enough time integrating and releasing. So some things I need to integrate, some things I release. But I noticed that I need to sit down or lay down at some point in the day or at the end of the day, where I sit down, I relax, I breathe, and I turn on some jazz. And I know I've learned why I like jazz so much. And it's because jazz, it helps my emotions flow. Like when I listen to hip hop, that inspires certain thoughts. So it activates me. Hip hop activates me on a mental level, but jazz activates me more on an emotional level. So when I'm integrating and releasing jazz, listening to jazz music definitely helps with that. And I noticed that it's just a lot easier for me to also concentrate when I spend more time integrating, because that's energy that either needs to have an outlet, be released or embodied. So that also plays a role in not getting distracted. So I've noticed there's there's a few different there's a series of behaviors and emotional and cognitive mechanics that I need to act on that will help me to maintain focus throughout the day more consistently.
Oh, very good. Okay. Well, I think you're reminding us that, our bodies are involved, our conscious mind is involved. There's a whole package when we begin to make changes, and a life designed is about helping people upgrade their lives, design the life they want to live, which necessarily incorporates some kind of change. So, Brian, do you have final thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you in case you want to work with a coach about making a specific change?
Yeah. So, Zian, I'm curious, have you tried doing a heavy metal detox? That might help you. I'm probably going to do one soon as well. You mentioned parasites, which I agree with. I do agree we all have parasites, and people should do parasite cleanses. I think people should do regular heavy metal detoxes as well. Sometimes heavy metals in the brain or in our body can be responsible for making one feel distracted or anxious or nervous or even depressed. It can sort of affect your brain in those kinds of ways. I'm probably going to do one soon as well. So I don't know, you can look into like zeolite, or there's chelation therapies. You can mess around with that if you want. If I find something that works really good, I'll share it with you. But okay, back on topic. As far as making lasting changes, I also think this is very interesting. A lot of people don't talk about this. One of the things that they say in the manifestation space is to make lasting changes, a lot of times you have to upgrade your self-concept.
Oh.
So I want to talk about this.
Okay.
So if you genuinely believe that you're like a really small person and you're kind of like a fucking turd and you don't deserve good things, like if good things come your way, you might actually push them away. You might reject them. This can happen in relationships too. Like if someone meets a great woman or a great man or whatever, and they actually feel like they don't deserve them, they don't like fit with this, they might actually sabotage the relationship because it doesn't fit with their self-concept or doesn't fit with their self-belief. So I think people should believe in themselves more and maybe even have more ego. Like you don't have to call it ego, but maybe a bigger self-concept or a bigger identity where you believe you are capable of doing more.
Yeah.
You believe that you are worthy of more. You believe you deserve more. And you actually like create space to allow that to come into your life. I think that when you don't feel that way, you subconsciously reject better things for yourself.
Like sabotage.
Self-sabotage on a subconscious level. On a subconscious level, you can feel like, I don't deserve that. That's for someone who works harder than me. I don't deserve that woman. That's for someone who's stronger than me or who makes more money than me. You know, if subconsciously you feel that way, you can self-sabotage. You can reject good things even if they're coming to you. So let's do this as a thought experiment. As a species, as humanity, do we really want all of ourselves? Like, do we want everyone to be super humble? I don't know. Is that really what we want? Or would we rather have it where like, I think I'm amazing and I think you're amazing. And we all see the amazing things in each other. What are we better off with as a species? Are we better off being like, yeah, we're all pieces of shit. Fuck it. Stay humble. Is that what we want? Like, is that what we want? I'm saying, how about I see myself as amazing and I see you as amazing too? How about that? Like, why don't we go with that? That's what I'm saying. That's my thought experiment.
Yeah.
And I feel like we open ourselves up to attracting better experiences that way.
Mm-hmm.
We're open to it
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously. We're not going to sabotage it. We're not going to reject it
Mm-hmm.
that way. So that's something to consider. So
I appreciate that. We can find you on A Life Designed, I imagine, as co-founder of A
yeah,
Life
yeah,
Designed.
yeah, yeah. alifedesign.org. Join up the membership. You can reach me there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or you can reach me on my Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Brian.Kuenning, or
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, Brian.Kuenning. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, hey, Jonathan, how do we get a hold of you? And I think you're amazing, for the record.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Jonathan, any final thoughts, and how do we get a hold of you?
Yes, so actually, what Brian just mentioned about this community, life design, that's what we are here for, anyways. It's a, it's like a cocoon
Mhm,
where someone joins and everybody's working on a different kind of, everybody's working on something different.
mhm,
So that's why we have different coaches, and
mhm,
that's why each coach has their own style.
mhm,
And we work with also one-on-one, so we
mhm,
know what they need from us, the kind of
mhm,
energy that they need from us.
mhm,
And it's, again, there's no expectation and shaming because everybody is working.
mhm,
Cian
mhm,
has some work on shaming, so there's
mhm,
no, because everybody works on a different level.
mhm,
So
mhm,
it's great to have a space like this where you can join, and then from there you can start growing on all different directions and dimensions, actually. Because
mhm,
if you grow
Mhm.
in one way, you grow in
mhm,
another one. There was also, oh yeah, my last thought was it has to be with relationships. It comes back to, because yeah, it's true. Even if something good comes your way, but you're traumatized because of past experiences,
mhm,
Mhm.
that's why personally, over 2,000 women that I have personally interviewed over the last 10 years,
mhm,
every single one of them, without exception, those uh, it comes to the same common denominator. If somebody traumatized them in the past, whenever they encounter a nice, good-looking man that all he wants to do is work and have a house and have a dog and everything, and love them, they are going to find this man extremely fucking boring, and they are not going to be able to accept all the good that comes with it
mhm,
because they haven't done the work. Same also with men. Uh,
mhm,
if the man hasn't done the work, and
mhm,
then there comes this beautiful
mhm,
woman that is not traumatized, they're not going to allow themselves to feel like they can
mhm,
actually have that. And that comes back to self-image, which is
mhm,
something that we
Mhm.
can talk about later
mhm,
because it's like a rabbit hole of it's hours and hours. But
mhm,
self-image basically is how do you look at yourself in the mirror and
mhm,
how do you feel with yourself? Because you have all these plans, but if in reality you are not in that level of vibration, even if it comes to you, you're going to fuck it up. So you cannot uh, accept the good if you do not work on your self-image.
mhm,
So we can also help anybody that wants to work with on their self-image, or if they are intrigued by what self-image or the impact that self-image has on their regular daily lives, we are here for them at livedesign.org, or they can also find me on Jonathan R. Coaching on Instagram and Jonathan R. Coaching at email.com.
Very good. Yeah, I'll have all that information in the notes. There's a lot of men who give this dating advice that if you want to attract a great woman, go to the gym, eat right, drink water, get enough sleep. Like, fix this so you feel worthy of the woman you want. Like, first, prove to yourself, I'm a high value man. And so, of course, I should say yes to high value women that are interested in me. If you haven't done the work, whether it's external work or whether it's internal work, and you don't feel worthy, then that's why they give that advice. Go get yourself right. So you are confident, I'm worth a high value woman as a high value man. Nobody's
Mhm.
going to move you off of that belief about yourself because You're doing curls for the girls at the gym. You're doing what you have to do. You sleep well. You feel good. You take good care of your money. And, you know, you won't be moved off of the idea that you're worthy. You have convinced yourself you're worthy, whatever that looks like for you. But that's why they give that advice. Go to the gym, eat right, sleep well, drink enough water. And in 3 months, you're going to feel ready. Even though you could have been ready without that, you didn't think so. So get yourself to where you think so, and then you'll be able to accept it when it comes your way. Zian, final thoughts and how to get a hold of you.
Final thoughts. When you pressure yourself to do too much, it starts to stress you out. And when you stress yourself out like that, it's harder for change to stick, because that's when you get distracted. That's when you start sliding back into habits that you're actively trying to change and get away from. So when you pressure yourself into doing too much and feel like you should be doing more, that's when you're going to get all frazzled. That's when it's just going to be harder for change to actually happen. So I can't stress enough to not put too much pressure on yourself. Like increase your capacity to handle certain things, to be more productive, but don't try to make that happen again all at once. I just can't stress the importance of that enough. Anybody? How can we find me? I was just getting to that.
Sorry.
All my social media handles are Heavenly Wisdom _coaching, TikTok, Instagram. Well, with the exception of Facebook, there's no underscore between Heavenly Wisdom and coaching. Or you can reach me at the ALD website or email me at heavenlywisdom.coaching@gmail.com.
Very good. Okay, good. Well, thanks for this great discussion about navigating change. It's different for different people, but coaching can help you. So you're welcome to come visit alifedesign.org. The first month is free. Check us out. Or reach out to coaches individually to make specific changes happen for you and live your best life. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
See ya.